which will take 100 years to recover. We can protect these lush forests if you follow these guidelines. First, do not bring flammable materials to the mountains. Second, do not cook or camp in the mountains. Third, do not litter cigarette butts. Your small actions are the first step towards protecting the beautiful forest. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
아직 어렵게 느껴지는 영어. 아이들 영어는 어떻게 챙기시나요? 부산 영어 방송이 준비한 어린이 영어 콘텐츠 세상. BFM 키즈 영상 채널이 여러분을 찾아갑니다. 샘 해밍턴과 윌 벤저스 그리고 모모랜드 낸시가 함께하는 BFM 키즈에서 영어로 듣는 부산 설화와 전래동화, 재밌는 파닉스 영어, 신나는 K-팝 영어까지 만나보세요. 우리 아이의 영어 실력과 창의력을 쑥쑥 키워줄 특별한 어린이 영어 채널 BFM 키즈가 여러분을 기다립니다. 지금 바로 BFM 키즈를 검색하고 구독해주세요.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
This conflict in Iran is making waves around the world. It is the biggest news story internationally. There's even speculation over possible U.S. forces Korea deployment to the Middle East as tensions between Washington and Tehran intensify. The strategic flexibility of U.S. Forces Korea, USFK, has become a sensitive issue since Donald Trump retook the Oval Office, with some pundits warning that redeployments could temporarily reduce capabilities designed to deter North Korea. So both Seoul and Washington thus far, they have remained mum on the matter. However, emerging signs such as several U.S. military transport aircraft that departed Busan in early March are definitely raising eyebrows. So are we going to have to buckle down for the long haul? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. In the meantime, let's dive in. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, March 9th on BEFM 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I don't know about you, did you have a chance to celebrate all the women in your life? Yesterday, March 8th, marked International Women's Day. So whether we're talking about your mom, your sister, your daughter, or any female figure in your life, I hope that you had the opportunity to just, really celebrate them. And if not, you can do it today as well. Anyhow, it is Monday morning, and the war in Iran is heading into its second week, and the global economy is really starting to feel the strain. Iran has effectively shut down the vital Strait of Hormuz, which is responsible for about 20% of the global crude oil supply. And because oil tankers cannot set sail, oil producing Gulf countries are running out of spaces to store all of this crude oil. With this, Kuwait has begun cutting production of oil, and Saudi Arabia and the UAE could reach their storage limit within, they say, maybe 20 days, threatening further production cuts. Over the weekend, crude oil futures across major indexes exceeded $90 per barrel, including the Brent crude's May futures at $92.69. And that is the highest daily increase since March of 2022. How does this translate into the situation here in Korea? That's the big question probably for many of you. Well, we have seen the gas and diesel prices at gas stations. Oh my goodness. I filled up over the weekend again. That was a little painful. And you might be encouraged to walk or take public transportation rather than drive. But what about those who have to drive for a living? Like they have no choice. We're talking about cargo truck drivers fearing for their livelihoods amid the spike in diesel prices. And diesel has been going up at a faster rate than gasoline, with diesel prices per liter higher than gas at some gas stations. If you've seen the prices, I know everybody has been talking about it. You all do a double take like, what? Wait, is that the gas? Is that the diesel price? And then you're like, they're both expensive. So for cargo truck drivers who drive about 500 kilometers per day, they have to get about 200 to 300 liters every other day. Okay? And at over 1,901 per liter, these drivers are going to have to pay 1.2 million won extra in fuel prices this month. And for these drivers, they take on the sole burden from the fuel price hike. So for cargo truck drivers, this is definitely a direct threat to their livelihood. This increase in transportation prices is just probably the first step. Experts say that if the conflict prolongs, everything else from produce, eating out, and much more will be affected. And I'm sure you remember what happened right after the conflict in Ukraine. The war broke out there. So we might have to buckle up, like I said. All right, though, I don't want it to be all doom and gloom. It's Monday, and let's get to our text topic. Are you ready? This is very much connected to a story coming up later on in the show, so here we go. What are your reading goals this year? 올해 여러분 독서 목표는? So maybe it's not necessarily, but usually people say like a book a month or 6 books for the entire year. Or you might have a different reading goal. Maybe like, oh, I want to read in English, or I want to read in Spanish. I want to read in a different language. So it could be completely different. It does not have to be number of books. It could be whatever it is. So send in your messages, your thoughts to BEFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube platform and type in BEFM 부산 영어 방송. And once you do, you'll see our channel, subscribe, log in, and chat with other waivers. We're at like 169,000 plus. So until the day we, get to whatever number. So, and then also from your phone, pound 9050 shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. So same thing there. Enter BEFM 부산 영어 방송 to find us, add us as a friend. And then you can send in your messages and photos as well. And the ways you can tune into Morning Wave in Busan. On the radio here in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. Like I said, we're streaming live right now on YouTube. You can also catch our show on BFM, the app, or the Papang app as well. So let's take a look at our morning together. It's Monday morning. So first up, we have Jian with Now in Busan. Haley's coming in. Hour number 1, top stories. Hour number 2, wa글와글 tea time. And then we have Profile Check with Vasana. That's in hour number 1. News in depth. Guess what? Jian's doing double duty. So she's coming in for hour number 2 as well. For our special interview, we are going to talk about the tensions, the conflict in Iran, but from an economic view. What is Korea's economic risk? Let's find out with our expert coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's 7:07 and this is News Overview. Khamenei's son named Supreme Leader. Mujtaba Khamenei, son of the deceased Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been selected as the new Supreme Leader by the Assembly of Experts. Iran oil facilities hit as U.S. confirms death of 7th service member. U.S. and Israeli strikes have hit and damaged 5 oil sites around Tehran as the U.S. confirmed that a 7th U.S. service member has died from injuries sustained during Iran's initial attack across the Middle East last week. Over 200 South Koreans arrived home from UAE. A chartered flight carrying 203 South Korean nationals arrived at the Incheon International Airport early this morning from Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates, with support from the government's Rapid Response Team. Trade Minister says U.S. not likely to raise tariff if Parliament passes investment bill. Minister of Trade Kim Jong-kwan said that he has been told by the U.S. that it is not likely to hike tariffs on South Korea if the National Assembly passes a special bill on Seoul's $350 billion investment pledge to the U.S. In Paralympics news, Kim Yoon-ji wins gold in para-biathlon. Para-biathlete Kim Yoon-ji became the first Korean female athlete to win gold at the Paralympic Games, taking the top prize in women's individual sitting. And this was News Overview. It's time for Down Busan. Let's say hi to Chien first. Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Yes, is it? It is. No, I'm just kidding. It is. It is. I have to say, though, before I even ask you how you are, last week for me was like, because I finally went back to school and I had, first day classes with my college students. It was just so tiring. Just like going back after vacation. As much as I love my new students, I was like, 너무 피곤한데? So how was your weekend? Did you have fun? Did you do anything
I
interesting?
had so much fun, yes. The weather was beautiful.
That's true.
I had sweet date with my PD님 on Saturday, privately.
왜요? 저 빼고 왜 이러세요?
Just two of us.
I'm glad you had a good time.
We had such a good time.
Yes. What is your reading goal this year? Do
For
you
the
have
text
one?
topic.
Uh-huh.
So last week was my birthday. And
Yes.
thanks to our Morning Wave team. And all my friends also sent me some books to my house. So those book lists should be my this year's bucket
Your
list
goal.
to read.
Are there a lot?
It's about a dozen, I guess. Dozen books now in my room. I had a fantasy moving to Busan. I should read a book at the beach, having my
It's too cold.
quality time. But it was so windy, and I was like,
Not yet.
wow, not yet.
Okay,
Maybe
okay.
later.
All right. Well, we're going to dive into some local news. I hear Busan has introduced some support policies for employees of public institutions relocating to the city. So what
Yes.
kind of measures are we talking about?
To help employees from the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, which recently moved to Busan, and also for other public institutions settled more smoothly in Busan, the city is offering tax incentives. The city is currently reviewing a revision to its local tax reduction ordinance that would cut acquisition tax by 50% when public institutions purchase real estate for the purpose of relocating to Busan.
I see. So we're talking about real incentives. I'm sure welcome news for people moving here. Are there other forms of support as well?
Yes. Employees who relocate to Busan along with their institutions will also be eligible for acquisition tax reductions when purchasing homes in the city.
Okay.
The reduction rate will vary depending on the size of the property. The measure is based on the Special Act on supporting institutions relocating to Busan as a maritime capital, which was passed by the National Assembly last December.
So when is this expected to move forward?
So the city plans to submit the proposed amendment to its local tax reduction ordinance during the 334th temporary session of the Busan City Council, which begins this Wednesday on March 11th. The city has already proposed several other support measures, including 100 units of official housing, relocation settlement funds, and scholarships for employees' children.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for giving us the support policies.
Of course.
Let's move on and talk about Busan working on new technology to respond to extreme rainfall and flooding. So what's happening here?
Busan City has signed a letter of intent to cooperate on developing an AI-based platform for responding to extreme rainfall. The goal is to develop digital urban flood control technology and apply it in real-world settings to strengthen disaster response.
Yeah, so how will the system system improve the city's flood response?
So the project is part of a national research program led by the Ministry of Science and ICT with a total budget of 38.4 billion won, running through 2029. Busan plans to use AI technology to better predict and manage urban flooding as extreme rainfall becomes more frequent with climate change.
So true. Well, how will this help residents, though?
The city says the system will allow faster responses to flooding by integrating urban data, such as underground structures, sewer networks, and past disaster records.
Yes.
It also expects to expand monitoring by introducing AI systems that analyze rainfall in real time through security cameras, which will allow residents to receive real-time flood risk information and evacuation guidance.
I see. It's definitely safety is utmost importance,
Always.
especially during rainfall and flooding. All right, there is also a local program in Busan aimed at improving safety for people living alone. So what's being planned on this front?
Yes, so Gyeonggi County is launching a safety support program for single-person households to help create a more secure living environment.
Okay.
The county plans to select 50 households and provide 6 different safety items that can be useful in daily life.
So it does sound like a practical set of safety tools. So what kind of items are included?
The items include a double door lock that prevents the front door from opening beyond a certain angle, a personal safety alarm that activates both a siren and flashing light in emergencies, a fire prevention patch that attaches to electrical outlets, as well as an emergency kit, a mini fire extinguisher, and a flashlight.
Oh, so these are important. Who can apply for this?
Eligible applicants include single-person households or legally recognized single-parent families registered in Gyeonggi County, as well as tenants whose converted jeonse, a large lump sum deposit value, is under 200 million won. Officials say applications will be accepted until May 29th, and the county plans to continue developing programs to strengthen welfare and safety for residents living alone.
All right, thanks for letting us know about these details. Next up, I hear Busan's famous 대저토마토es are back in season, and there's even a festival coming up dedicated to all these tomatoes. So
Yes.
tell us about this.
Gangseok District says the 23rd Tomato Festival will take place for 2 days starting on March 21st at the plaza and auxiliary gymnasium of Gangseok Sports Park. Tomatoes, often called 짭짜리 tomatoes, are known for their unique flavor that combines sweetness, acidity, and a slightly salty taste.
Right, and of course, for those of you who have not tried, so good. I don't know if you guys like tomatoes or not, but really, really good. So tell us a little bit more about these Daejeon tomatoes.
Of course. So the Daejeon tomatoes were registered as a geographical indication agricultural product in 2012 and are considered one of the Gangseok District's signature specialties.
Right.
According to local officials, about 480 farms in the area produce around 15,000 tons of Daejeon tomatoes each year.
Yeah, so in terms of this spring event, I'm sure many people want to go, but what can visitors expect when they go to the festival?
So the festival is organized by the Daejeon Agricultural Cooperative, and the festival will feature a variety of activities, including making a giant tomato spaghetti dish and a tomato eco walking tour, tomato seedling experiences.
Yes.
There will also be a tomato auction and live performances by popular singers. Visitors will also have a chance to buy Daejeon tomatoes at discounted prices during the festival, along with free tasting and a direct sales market prepared by local farmers.
Win-win event, it seems like, for, of course, the farmers and people who like tomatoes.
Yes,
so thank
indeed.
you for, have you tried them?
The Daejeon tomato, yes.
Oh, you have. I was
But
gonna
not
say.
in Busan. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Directly, yes.
I should.
Thank you for all the local news. Have a wonderful day. We'll check in with you later on in hour number 2.
Yes, thank you. I'll see you soon.
All right, this was Gia, everybody, and I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic report. Let's talk about Mandakdero. It is congested from Sukdung to Deokjeon intersection. It's also backed up on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyong ramp to Kaegum. It's also slow on Taedong Hwamyeong Bridge on the top portion going toward Anmak ramp. And there is traffic on Luno Samsungdero from Myeongji underpass to Shino Bridge. Currently, it's 2 degrees here in Busan under clear skies. It's going to go up to 11. Across the nation, rain or snow forecast for the central region. So please drive extra carefully. There are major temperature differences between the low and the high across the country. Keep that in mind. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Let's say hi first. Happy Monday.
Is it? I just broke some news to Kat, and we were just like, oh,
There's a reason I'm wearing black today.
let's all walk home now. We can't drive
Because
home.
What's the update you just
Oh,
told me?
well, because we just talked about how in the opening, the international crude oil prices was over $90 per barrel.
Yes.
So that was as of yesterday.
Today?
Now $100 per barrel.
Oh, and that's just like overnight.
So, let's all walk home is the point.
I want to fly home, but anyhow. Text topic time. We're going to talk about this later on, but what are your reading goals? And I know you brought something.
I do. Well, I always have a book in my bag. How often I read it is a whole different question. I
Right.
would like to be reading more often. I think this is my 4th book of the year. Though.
Already?
3rd or 4th, but it's not that big.
Okay.
My goals, though, I try to read at least one classic per year. So be like Dostoevsky, which are bricks. And
those are thick.
like Russian literature is like,
Yeah.
it's a self-defense mechanism too. If someone attacks you, you're just like, oh,
throw the brick.
Right. And then I also try to read more diverse authors. So authors of color, female, Happy International Women's Day,
Yay.
female authors. And so diversity, but also classics.
I like. Thank you for sharing
Thanks
and
for
for
asking.
encouraging us. Well, for our first story, President Lee Jae-myung declared war against the 7 so-called abnormalities within South Korean society and directed his aides to normalize these practices.
Right, so this came during a meeting with senior aides on Friday where President Lee Jae-myung named the 7 abnormalities. So these were drug crimes, corruption in public office, voice phishing scams, illegal real estate dealings, malicious tax delinquencies, stock market manipulation, and serious industrial accidents.
I see. So walk us through the reasoning behind the selection of these specific issues and what the goals are.
Right, so let's lump them under a similar theme. So first, economic issues. So these would be illegal real estate dealings, and that's a major issue that he's been addressing since day one that he's been trying to tackle. It seems to include not only rental scams, but also abnormal dealings aimed at raising prices, such illegal speculation of farmlands and even price collusion within some online communities in certain neighborhoods.
Right.
And to that end, stock manipulations also fall in the same category of trying to stir up markets for individual financial gain.
Yes.
And President Lee said should result in, quote, the ruins of perpetrators who try to do this. The president also ordered relevant agencies to tackle the 110 trillion won bill from unpaid taxes for those who are able to pay the taxes but do not fulfill these duties. The National Tax Service, they actually plan on dispatching 500 officials for this purpose.
I see. And then there were warnings against transnational crimes.
Right, and drug crimes and voice phishing. These are the ones that fall under this roof.
Right.
So there's also major task under the administration as that whole Cambodian scam ring that actually became a very urgent story last year, continuing on to this year.
Yes.
President Lee also addressed this during the summit with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. last week. The president has been very stern against crimes of corruption by top officials, having to fire his own appointments for such issues.
Right.
And lastly, the administration, especially under Labor Minister Kim Young-un, he has basically staked his job on eliminating serious industrial accidents.
Right.
And there's actually a set of bills at the National Assembly. They've been stalled, but they aim to do this. And President has expressed his frustrations at the speed at which the bills are being dealt with. And he did so again during the senior aides meeting on Friday.
That's right. So thanks for breaking that down for us. And now we're going to talk about what we've been talking about, what everybody's talking about, what is everybody, thinking about? High gas prices and the government's response.
Right. And even on our chat, they're like, are you getting an EV for your next car? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's been
definitely on my mind right
after
now.
this because we all know gasoline and diesel prices, they've been on the up and up because of the war in Iran, the shutdown or effective shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz, which is responsible for about 20% of crude oil globally.
Right.
Gasoline and diesel prices in Seoul, they have exceeded 1,900 won range, inching really close to that 2,000 won range per liter.
Yes.
Diesel prices are now even higher than gasoline prices, like you said. So the government said that there is a possibility of price collusion or price fixing and market confusion and has launched a special inspection over certain gas stations.
Ooh.
And the Justice Ministry also announced stern actions against such price collusions, naming them serious anti-societal crimes.
I see. However, gas stations say this is not fair.
Right. So everybody has, their input on this matter because it's not just gas stations, it's the oil companies too. That's the position by the Korea Gasoline Stations Association. They issued a press release emphasizing that the gas stations, are not solely responsible for the rise in petrol prices.
Okay.
So they explained that gas stations are retail distributors and they get their oil wholesale from oil refineries, aka oil companies.
Right.
So they're saying that the primary cause in the increases of prices is from oil companies hiking their prices and they have no choices.
I see.
Also, gas stations are explaining that this might be more perceived increase in prices because supplies have been getting depleted at a faster rate, meaning we've seen the long lines of cars lining up at that one gas station in your neighborhood that still has 1,700 won range gasoline, right? So that is why that the cheaper gas is getting depleted relatively faster.
Right. Like in my neighborhood, like I live near, it's okay, Changsan, like generally speaking, but everybody I know goes over to Songjang to get their gas because it's cheaper. Like
we all know there's a place.
Yeah. So while this is going on, the government announced that they have secured additional oil supplies, right?
So fingers crossed that this will at least stabilize prices. So Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Hoon-sik on Friday briefed the press on the operation to bring back South Korean nationals that have been stranded in the UAE.
Yes.
So that already happened with chartered flights and regular passenger flights. He also said that Seoul struck a deal to bring in over 6 million barrels of crude oil from the UAE.
Right.
So South Korea will dispatch 2 Korean oil tankers to the Emirati port that wouldn't require passage through the Strait of Hormuz. So that's crucial. And bring back initially 4 million barrels of crude oil that's kept at their port by the Emirati State Oil Company. The Korean National Oil Corporation on the same day, they also announced that it brought in 2 million barrels of crude oil from Kuwait.
Yes.
And that's equivalent to how much petroleum South Korea uses per day.
Per day.
Yeah, things that we learn. 2 million barrels of crude oil.
And the saying goes like, 기름 한 방울도 안 나는
right,
like,
we have.
All right, so now we're going to go to the root of this economic turmoil, the war in Iran.
Right, and this comes as we are breaking the news that the Iranian Council has elected a new leader. But last week, we talked about America's endgame. But that endgame, the goal seems to be shifting.
Yes.
So U.S. President Donald Trump is now calling for Iran's unconditional surrender and how that is going to be the only way to bring end to the war. And he wrote this on his Truth Social page on Friday local time. And of course, war has been escalating on both sides.
Yes.
Trump claimed that significant damages have been made to Iran's military capabilities and also did not rule out sending U.S. troops to secure Iran's nuclear facilities.
Oh. Oh, well, Iran, on the other hand, not backing down.
Right. So realistically, Iran's missile launches have become fewer and further in between, definitely less concentrated than in the initial days. But still, missiles and drones are flying against U.S. military bases in the Middle East and also across Israel and the Gulf states.
Yes. While Iran isn't backing down apparently against the U.S. or Israel, it did take a considerable turn in its stance against the other Middle East countries.
Right. And this is very rare during wartime, but Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian actually apologized to his Gulf neighbors, saying that Iran was not targeting Gulf countries specifically, but U.S. military assets are located within those countries. And Pezeshkian also said that Iran will no longer attack the Gulf and neighboring states if they are not attacking Iran.
Okay.
So a little bit of backdrop. Countries like the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain have even been considering military action against these attacks. And while Iran emphasizes that the attacks were on U.S. bases, there have been attacks on civilian facilities and civilian homes as well.
I see.
But that apology, or at least a pledge to not attack, may have been in vain because just hours later, Gulf nations were bombarded with Iran's air raids. But also pundits point to a bit of a divide between the president and the very powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Sure.
So the Guard Corps has been attacking U.S. military bases, but local governments and media report attacks again on civilian infrastructure. But then again, going back to the President Pezeshkian took a hardline stance against the U.S. and Israel, saying that Iran's surrender is, quote, a dream that its enemies must take to the grave.
Well, on top of this, there are now signs that Russia is getting involved.
Right. So again, the war is not only escalating, but expanding.
Okay.
But Russia's not getting involved with military forces, but via intelligence to Iran. So reports are saying that Russia's providing Iran with intel about locations and movements of American troops, ships, and aircrafts. So how? Well, Moscow has multiple satellites up in the sky and seems to be providing Iran with images of said targets.
Sure.
Although it is not clear to what extent Iran has been utilizing said intel. U.S. also has its own intelligence suggesting that China may be preparing to provide Iran with financial assistance, including spare parts for weapons and missile components. But as opposed to Moscow, Beijing has been more careful in its support because how that might be affecting their energy supply.
I see.
So let's get a little bit of background on this whole relationship amongst Iran, China, and Russia. They're not allies, at least in the traditional sense, but they're sometimes lumped together to be called this axis of upheaval. Because we have the axis of evil, but axis of upheaval in their common anti-Western stance.
Yes.
So the three countries are said to share intelligence, sometimes work together in weapons development, and also circumventing sanctions imposed by the West. Also, China is a major buyer of Iranian oil, and Russia uses Iranian drones.
In fact, there are now reports saying that Russia's actually benefiting off of the war in Iran.
Right, at least in the short term. Well, there are no winners. There are no winners, only losers in war. But beneficiary is Russia, and this is in the war of energy. Because, again, the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. Some countries are having to turn to Russia for fuel. So the main country at hand is China, because this year, China's energy supply has been hit hard. Venezuela and Iran, all right. So all, well, not under control, but effectively crippled by the United States, let's just say. So Russia could continue providing crude oil to China at a discounted rate, which is interesting. Why are they not taking advantage of, again, crude oil's at $100 per barrel?
Right.
Leverage. Because if they provide cheaper oil to China, they can also exert influence or leverage. Also, India, the most populous country in the world, therefore very high demand for energy, also increasing its demand for Russian crude oil. And because of this, the U.S. has had to ease some of its sanctions against Russian crudes for India.
Okay.
And then let's go to Europe for the final bit, also at risk of having to depend on Russian energy supplies too.
Right.
So to that end, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that a new market is opening, and at least for now, he might be right. Yeah.
I mean, with what's happening in Ukraine and now Iran. So upheaval. Well, thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. So thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
It is time for our song break here. This is Rude by Hearts to Hearts.
Let's go. Yeah, walk right in. 스치는 순간 모두가 my friend. 여기저기서 인사를 건네. Yeah, yeah. 다 자연스럽게 알아 give me space. 언제나 그래 눈에 띈 my face. 흘겨보지 마 이건 no race. 누가 뭐래도 평범한 건 지루해. 모든 맘대로 내 맘대로. 자리 없대도 재밌으면 that's okay. Not enough one more. 다양한 시선을 hate me. 누가 뭐래도 can't change me. 지금이 대로 좋아. 나다울 때 누구보다 눈부셔 난. I've been acting too rude. 이랬다 저랬다 no rude. 그날 뻔뻔한 attitude. I'm not bad. You can make me act right. Rude. I don't care 이게 나라고. 아무렇게나 주는 춤 따라해. You can make me act right. Shh, I need your loud. Yeah. 소리 질러볼까. Yeah. 네 시간은 so tight. 어른이 없는 세상. 오늘은 찾자. That's my type. 자, 눈 맞춰볼까. 미래 걱정하는 건 버려 잠깐. We're living that good life. Good life. 고민 없을수록 better. 더 자연스럽게. 망설임은 never. 이끌린 대로 해. 나다울 때 누구보다 눈부셔 난. I've been acting too rude. 이랬다 저랬다 no rude. 그날 뻔뻔한 attitude. I'm not bad. You can make me act right. Rude. I don't care 이게 나라고. 아무렇게나 주는 춤 따라해. You can make me act right. 내 멋대로 move. Make me act right. 내 멋대로 move. Acting too rude. 톡 쏘는 말투도 숨김없는 표정도 솔직한 그대로 feel so cool. 여기저기 따분한 눈빛. Don't call me darling. I'm too rude. You know what he said to me? He was like, you're so rude. And I was like, boy, does it look like I could care? I couldn't even care less. Rude. 이랬다 저랬다 no rude. 그날 뻔뻔한 attitude. I'm not bad. You can make me act right. Rude. I don't care 이게 나라고. 아무렇게나 주는 춤 따라해. You can make me act right. 내 멋대로 move. Make me act right. 내 멋대로 move. Make me act right.
All right, listeners, let's get to your responses to the text topic, which today is, what are your reading goals for this year? 올해 여러분 독서 목표는? So once again, doesn't necessarily have to do with the number of books or works. It could be like, I want to, read it in this language. How about that? Well, Benny says, reading goals for me is Korean articles, Korean articles, and reading news in English and Filipino. So, I don't know. Have you started, Benny? And also, we have a message from Michael who says, 전 올해 저희 아들 학교에서 정해준 진학희망 학과에서 지정한 필독서를 함께 읽어볼 예정입니다. So, quick translation, basically he's saying his son actually just entered high school. I remember he was talking about that a couple of weeks ago. And so he's going to be reading along with his son from his son's reading list. First of all, I want to say you're a great dad. Good for you. But second, I do want to say my mom used to do that and I used to hate it. Because she used to want to do have deep conversations. So I would read the classic, the classic book in English and she would have the Korean version. And she would want to discuss after we both read. And that was just so annoying, I have to say. Love you, Mom. But 엄마랑 같이 그 대화 after the book, that was a little too much. So, Michael, I'm gently suggesting maybe reading along, off the list. But 굳이 아들이랑 막 깊은 대화 하려면 아들이 싫어할 수도 있으니 just letting you know, I hated it. Just a bit of advice. Maybe ask him first. Do you want to debate? Do you want to discuss? Anyhow, let's get Vasana's take because he's in the studio. I'll be back with him in just a moment. It is time for Vasana, and what's your segment? Profile. I was like laughing and thinking back to all the books and debates I had with my mother, and the expression on my face was just like this the whole time. Like, 굳이, 엄마, do you have to read it? Okay, so let's get your take. Do you think your son would enjoy having discussions with you after reading the same books?
No.
Just straight up, no.
No.
What are your reading goals?
None.
No.
I do have to read books, so I'm forced to read books.
Right. I mean, Vasana's are you done with your PhD or are you still in the process?
I have a deadline for this month for a journal, so I'm working towards that.
Ooh.
Which is why I may have forgotten to update this on the weekend. But yeah, but otherwise, I like reading nonfiction historical books.
Oh.
And I think my son picked up on that when he was a young kid. He saw me reading historical things all the time,
right.
and he started. He loves reading history books and watching history things on TV.
Just like his daddy.
Yeah, and I think that's kids just copy what their parents do.
That's true.
So if you just sit there and read a book from when your son or daughter was a baby,
right,
they will just copy that.
It's true though. They copy through action, not what you say.
Not what you say.
단소리보다 행동으로, show by action, right?
Yes. Unlike
All right.
unlike my parents. Do what I say, not what I do.
No. Yeah.
Old style.
My mom was just another level. But let's get into our topic.
Yes.
Who are we profiling today?
Today, I want to profile a couple of things. Number one is a person, and number two is an organization.
Ooh.
So it's slightly different.
Okay.
So the organization is NASCAR.
Oh, NASCAR.
Yeah, so
Racing.
firstly, saw that face.
No,
So
I
let me
know
ask
very
you.
little about it. That's why.
Which is why I want to profile it.
Okay.
I want to teach people about it. But when I say to you car racing, and also our viewers out there, when I say car racing,
Yes.
what do you think of?
I think of like F1.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The checkered flag.
not just that noise and the checker flag, but
Right.
you think of the handsome racers and
Not really.
no.
Fast cars, yeah.
Well, that's what the young people these days
really?
they follow F1 because it's on a certain certain thing that streams it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the young racers in F1 these days are very, very handsome.
To be perfectly honest, I don't even know the difference between like F1 and like
that was
NASCAR.
the other thing. Yeah.
Is it like Dow Jones or the NASDAQ? Is it like 모르겠어요. One of the few things I'll admit I don't really know too much about.
Okay, so have you seen the movie Cars? Or do you know about
the
movie?
animated movie.
The animated movie.
That was a good movie.
Okay, so that's based on NASCAR.
Oh, okay.
So all the cars is all the NASCAR racing is based on that, and that is called stock car racing.
Stock car racing.
Yeah. So that term means you just take an ordinary car.
Yes.
You put it on a racetrack. It's a stock car. It's a car straight from the manufacturer.
Right. It's not like
model.
a specially created, designed car for racing.
Yeah.
So hence the stock car.
That's where
Got
it
it.
originated. Obviously,
Okay.
these days it is souped up.
I was going to say, I don't know.
They don't
Okay.
just take it straight from the factory.
Okay.
So in I would say almost every town in America, they have a little racetrack. And people would pay $20, $30 just to go there, put their car on the racetrack and just race around in circles. And in New Zealand, a lot of towns have that too. So I enjoyed that.
Okay.
So anyway, NASCAR stands for National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing.
That's what I never knew.
Yes.
I'm learning so much today. Okay.
Yeah. And before it was organized, before it came into effect,
Yes.
every car, as I said, every town had a racetrack. And so he unified all those racetracks.
He meaning?
He meaning the President Bill France Sr.
Oh.
So NASCAR and Bill France.
Is he French?
No, he's American.
Just asking.
No, it's fine.
Like, if someone's surname was like America,
Yeah.
it could be. Anyways, yes.
알겠습니다. So he wanted structure. He wanted to organize all the races into one race
Right.
rather than or run race series. And so it was founded.
Sure.
So it had begun and grew into one of America's biggest racing series with a southern flavor.
Yes.
And it was going quite well until 2020 when the pandemic hit. And so it lost a lot of viewers.
Right.
Because they weren't allowed to go to the racetrack. So the
interest just fell off, you're
Yes.
saying, right? Okay.
So this is where Michael Jordan enters the story.
What?
So when
Really?
I say Michael Jordan, what do you think of?
The Bulls.
Yes.
Basketball legend.
Yeah.
The one and only. And I don't want to hear debating about, is LeBron better? No, it's Michael Jordan.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah,
No.
different level.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's my take. I know all the young people are going to hate me, but oh well.
No,
I'll take it.
if Michael played for as long as he did,
Right.
it'd be insurmountable. So this is where he entered the story. And he basically teamed up with another person and created a team. And I was wondering, why NASCAR?
Why NASCAR?
Or how did he get involved in NASCAR? So I watched a few interviews and he said that his parents took him to NASCAR whenever they had a race.
Okay.
Him and his siblings, the whole family. It was a family outing for the weekend.
So it's meaningful.
Yeah, very, very meaningful. So
And then everybody knows like he and his dad were like really tight.
Yes.
So.
So even during his basketball career, whenever the Bulls went into a town with NASCAR races, he would go to the NASCAR race before his game.
Oh no, and do that well.
and then go to the game and put up 40.
like it's nothing.
Yes.
Right. So that is actually kind of not something that I expected.
No.
Because I know he's like really into golf.
Yes.
He's into a lot of things, but I never thought NASCAR, but now we know.
But for me, it makes sense because he's a very competitive person.
Ultra.
Yeah. I think a few people have seen a few of the documentaries out there.
Oh, yeah.
He would just go up and play little things like which coin gets closest to the wall.
I mean, everything is competitive
Yes.
and like betting, like, for fun, right?
Correct. So
Yes.
racing is about strategy, timing, and risk.
But he loves all those things.
He loves all those things.
Yeah.
All those things he loves. So it took shape. This team took shape because he was very good friends with a guy called Denny Hamlin. So it's a very big name in NASCAR for those who don't know. And the two met a long time ago when when Hamlin came and attended a Charlotte Hornets basketball game.
Oh.
And those who don't know, Jordan owns that team.
Yes. He's from South Carolina.
Yes.
Right.
And so over the years, they became close friends. And during COVID-19, they discussed starting a team. And the team is called
What's it called?
2311.
23, like his jersey number?
So his jersey number is 23.
What's the 11?
And Denny Hamlin's car number is 11. So instead of putting just 2311, they put 23X1.
Roman numerals.
So when I saw it, that's a really 23 23. Is it Chinese?
Is Xi Jinping like NASCAR?
He's got some Chinese people in there. But anyway,
Right.
X1 is the Roman numeral for 11.
I like that.
So it represents both owners.
Right.
And it's very, very good. So Jordan bringing global visibility as well. So
To
when
something
Jordan,
else that's not basketball.
Yeah. And Hamlin bringing the racing experience,
Of
obviously.
course. Right.
So they debuted with Hamlin and also they hired a guy called Bubba Wallace. And Bubba Wallace is the only black driver in NASCAR.
That's why I was going to say, his name sounds familiar for some reason.
Yeah, it might be the name Bubba.
Bubba. Right?
But I'm thinking of something called Shrimp, Bubba Gump, Forrest Gump. Yeah, there was a guy called Bubba there. Anyway, I digress.
Yes.
So since then, the team has expanded and has become one of NASCAR's most talked about organizations. And I've finally come to the reason I wanted to talk about it. This season,
Yes.
Jordan's team has won the first 3 races.
Oh, really?
Yes, last season they won maybe 2 out of all the drivers.
Okay.
But this season, a guy called Tyler Reddick, another driver, has won all 3 races, the first 3 races of the season.
So do they have like this is going to show you my
Oh, no, it's
intellectual
fine.
level of
Which
my
is
race
why
car,
I'm saying,
my
because a lot
knowledge.
of people out there don't know.
So there are multiple drivers for, I guess, the teams? Is
Yes.
it more than one?
and multiple cars often.
I'm assuming like they each have their own car. Okay, so multiple drivers, multiple cars.
Correct, yes.
Right.
So usually each team has 2 cars.
Uh-huh.
Some teams have 3, but for the competition, only 2 cars are entered into the team competition.
So which circuit is Lewis Hamilton in?
He's in Formula One.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, I know that name.
I was going to talk about it because they had their first race yesterday, but I think Murph will talk about it probably tomorrow, so I don't want to talk about it too much. So they had their first race yesterday in Australia, Formula One. So that's where Lewis Hamilton is.
So when you were growing up, were you like heavily into the racing?
I was heavily into Formula One because I liked the sound that you made before. The cars do not make that sound now.
Oh, they don't?
They have a different engine. And last year it was terrible. But this year they've introduced turbos into the engine, so it's a really high scream.
Oh, really?
It's not as high as the old ones in the 80s and the 70s, 80s. But
Like that you're used to.
that
Like,
I'm used to.
you kind of correlate with,
Yes. But
racing.
I like V8s, and New Zealand, the V8 engines, that's NASCAR.
Like a deep. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
When they're revving their engines, we
Yes.
say in English, right?
yeah.
How do
So
we say that in Korean? Revving your engine? Okay, we have another
we got-
non-car.
We got no petrol heads in the house.
Usually, she's like, she knows the answer. She's typing out. She's looking at me like, your guess is as good as mine.
Actually, yeah, I do a lot of jokes about onomatopoeic words.
Right.
With the dog being mong mong instead of woof woof and all that.
Right.
So there must be if any of our listeners know, please
I'm
teach
so
us.
curious. Revving your engine. If you know what that is in Korean, let us know.
In English, it's actually VROOM. That's the spelling for
Vroom.
vroom.
So, but
Not vroom.
I said it like
The
I
room.
enunciated so people would understand.
알겠습니다.
Okay, so it's not the room.
No.
It's the room. But quickly you would say
Vroom.
yes. There you go. Haley says 부릉부릉. 부릉.
Thanks, Hales.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind of help.
Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of like even Jordan though, like
Yes.
let's go back to our little debate.
Okay.
So why do you think he is so revered? Do you agree with me that he might be the greatest of all?
I agree.
Okay.
But if you want to go back, there were people before him as well, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh yeah.
It's just that they didn't have the longevity that LeBron has.
Yes.
I mean, he just surpassed someone else for number 1 on the lists for something else. But he's also had, if you take on the negative side, he's also had the most misses, the most lost balls,
Yes.
the lowest free throw percentage, if you want to go there, for all those greats.
Yes.
So with all the good stats, there are bad stats as well. Turnovers, if you want to go there. He's at 3 million turnovers? But, yeah.
So we looked it up. Our
Yes.
producer looked it up. I looked it up as well.
Yeah.
First, she goes, the sound, the room, she goes, is puang, which I have no idea what that is.
Puang?
I don't know.
Isn't that something that the honey one does to you when you want to
No, isn't
release your
puang the thing
blood?
that you do on your
Puang?
the cupping?
Puang, yeah.
puang 하니까.
But they have to pierce your skin, so that really hurts.
She says revving your engine in
Yeah.
Korean is 공회전 시키는 거래요.
Oh, that's
라고
the sentence.
나왔습니다. And then like it's basically, you're in park and then you're kind of stepping on the gas, the pedal. That's what we're talking about. That's called revving your engine.
Yeah.
When you're, yes.
And when you're idling, and then you put your foot on the
On the gas
accelerator.
pedal.
Yeah, but
The
it's not in
accelerator.
gear. It's not in gear.
So that's why in Korean they call it accelerator. It just dawned upon me. But anyhow, it is time to wrap up today.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we look forward to your next segment next week as well.
Okay.
All right?
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Vasana. Well, it's time to wrap up hour number 1, actually. And this is a song that you all know, but did you know that it's from the film Cars? So this is Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
you travel on. There's one day here and the next day gone. Sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. There's a world outside every darkened door where blues won't haunt you anymore, where the brave are free and lovers soar. Come ride with me to the distant shore. We won't hesitate to break down the garden gate. There's not much time left today. Life is a highway. I wanna ride it all night long. If you're going my way, well, I wanna drive it all night long. Through all these cities and all these towns, it's in my blood and it's all around. I love you now like I loved you then. This is the road and these are the hands. From Mozambique to those Memphis nights, the Copper Pass to Vancouver's lights. And knock me down and back up again. You're in my blood, I'm not a lonely man. There's no road I can hold, a road so rough, this I know. I'll be there when the light comes in, to tell her we're survivors. Life is a highway, but I wanna ride it all night long. Woo! If you're going my way, I wanna drive it all night long. Gimme, 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 yeah. Life is a highway, but I wanna ride it all night long. Yeah. If you're going my way, I wanna drive it all night long. There was a distance between you and I. A misunderstanding once, but now we look it in the eye. There ain't no load that I can't hold, a road so rough, this I know. I'll be there when the light comes in, tell her we're survivors. Life is a highway, but I wanna ride it all night long. Yeah, you're going my way, but I wanna drive it all night long. Gimme, 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 yeah. Life is a highway, I wanna ride it all night long. You're going my way, I wanna drive it all night long. Come on, gimme, 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 yeah. Life is a highway, I wanna ride it all night. Yeah, I wanna drive it all night long, baby. You're going your way, I wanna drive it all night
안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Brr! It's freezing outside. Let's crank up the heat.
Wait, you don't have to. Lowering the temperature by just 2 degrees can save a lot of energy.
2 degrees? That small change really matters?
You'd be surprised. If 10% of Korean households lower their heating by just 2 degrees, the effects are like planting about 350,000 trees a year.
That's magical. Then I'll just bundle up instead.
Smart move. Try wearing some thermal underwear or warm socks.
Plus, when you go out, don't turn the heater off completely. Set it to away mode or 외출 mode.
That way, it uses less fuel than turning it off and reheating the whole place later. Turn down the heat, but not your warmth.
This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어 방송.
A new season of 2026 BEFM School Reporters is back. We're looking for passionate school reporters to deliver local news and create your very own school news. From March 16th to the 20th, we'll be accepting applications in the order they come in, not by how great you are at English. Students who attend elementary, middle, and high school, or those with equivalent qualifications can apply. You can apply by visiting our website, www.befm.or.kr. Don't miss out on an amazing opportunity to become this new season's BEFM School Reporter. We're looking forward to meeting you in our studio.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Welcome back, everybody. This is 8 o'clock, Spotlight News. Khamenei's son named Supreme Leader. Mojtaba Khamenei, son of the deceased Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been selected as the new Supreme Leader by the Assembly of Experts. The Assembly of Experts has called upon Iranians to pledge support to Mojtaba Khamenei, a 56-year-old cleric known to be a hardliner like his father. Israel's military has threatened to target any successors. U.S. President Donald Trump said that a new leader won't last long if Iran doesn't get his approval first. Iran oil facilities hit as U.S. confirms death of 7th service member. U.S. and Israeli strikes have hit and damaged 5 oil sites around Tehran as the U.S. confirmed that a 7th U.S. service member has died from injuries sustained during Iran's initial attack across the Middle East last week. Officials have reported that at least 1,300 people have been killed in Iran, with the death toll coming to 400 in Lebanon and about a dozen killed in Israel. Reports show attacks on water desalination plants in Iran and Bahrain, raising concerns over damage to crucial civilian facilities. Over 200 South Koreans arrived home from UAE. A charter flight carrying 203 South Korean nationals arrived at the Incheon International Airport early this morning from Abu Dhabi United Arab Emirates, known as UAE, with support from the government's Rapid Response Team. The Foreign Ministry said that some 1,400 short-term South Korean visitors remain in the UAE, but are expected to return as flights have resumed operations. In the meantime, the Foreign Ministry raised the travel alerts across all of Bahrain, the UAE, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, and parts of Saudi Arabia and Jordan to level 3, advising Korean nationals in the region to withdraw and those with travel plans to cancel or postpone such plans. Trade Minister says U.S. not likely to raise tariff if Parliament passes investment bill. Minister of Trade Kim Jong-won said that he has been told the U.S. is not likely to hike tariffs on South Korea if the National Assembly passes a special bill on Seoul's $350 billion investment pledge to the U.S. Kim made the remarks yesterday after his visit to the U.S. to meet with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Kim also noted that the two sides agreed that South Korea would not be disadvantaged by the Trump administration's 15% global tariff following the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling that struck down Trump's tariffs. In Paralympic news, Kim Yoon-ji wins gold in para-biathlon. Para-biathlete Kim Yoon-ji became the first Korean female athlete to win gold at the Paralympic Games, taking the top prize in women's individual sitting. Kim won the first medal for Team Korea in the biathlon 12.5-kilometer sprint at the 2026 Milano Cortina Paralympic Games, and she will compete again in cross-country skiing later this week. Para-snowboarder Lee Jae-hyuk won the bronze in men's snowboard cross, the first medal for South Korea in the event. And this was Spotlight News. It's time for a special interview. The joint U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran began on February 28th and have not continued for more than a week. And since the conflict erupted, Tehran has threatened to target vessels attempting to pass through the region, raising concerns about the security of key shipping routes. The war is already rippling through the global economy, particularly through energy markets. Drivers and businesses are watching oil prices closely each day. And much of the concern centers on the Strait of Hormuz, a critical corridor for global oil shipments. And yes, as the experts say, effectively shut down, not officially, but effectively. So today we're going to examine how tensions in the Middle East could reshape global energy markets and what risks rising oil prices may pose for South Korea. Joining us is Professor Yang Jun-suk, Professor of Economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Hi, Professor. Welcome back.
Hi, happy to be here.
Yes. To start with the basics, let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz, because that's what everybody's talking about, and why it has such a significant impact on global oil prices.
Okay, well, Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway between Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. It's only about 33 kilometers across, and on one side is Iran, and on the other side is UAE and Oman, with Qatar and Saudi Arabia nearby.
Yes.
So about 20% of world's LNG and 30% of oil travel through the strait, and the route delivers oil and gas to especially Asian countries, including India, China, Japan, and of course Korea. 80% of oil to Asia passes through this waterway. And while there are some pipelines, the pipeline cannot replace the volume that's delivered through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the strait is also important for Korea's exports to the Middle East, as well as imports of food and other stuff by the Middle East countries, especially UAE. For Korea, 70% of oil and 20% of LNG consumed in Korea passes through the strait. Similarly, 44% of oil to China and 96% of oil to Japan passes through the strait. Now, you mentioned whether the strait was closed formally. Well, technically, ships can still pass through.
Yes.
There are some reports that Iran is letting Chinese ships through if they can prove that they're Chinese.
Yes.
But the problem is Iran has attacked ships which were going through the strait. So the insurance costs for these ships have skyrocketed, and no one wants to go through the strait with the possibility of physical attack or pay the increased insurance rates. So it's effectively been blocked off.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for the clarification on that and the explanation of how important the Strait of Hormuz is. And if tensions escalate further and shipping through the strait becomes even more restricted, what kind of impact could that have on global oil supply? I mean, hasn't it already had an impact?
Well, problem is things are continually changing. So when the war first started, when the strait was beginning to be blocked, oil rose to from about $72 before the attack to about $78 on Tuesday.
Okay.
That's a couple of days after the war started.
Right.
And I read an analysis by a foreign analyst which said that the market seems to be estimating about 4 weeks worth of blockage for the Strait of Hormuz. But now the price has gone up to this morning $100 per barrel.
Right.
And that seems to be partially because the market is now expecting the block to last a lot longer. The price went up from $78 to about $90 over a couple of days.
Yes.
When President Trump announced that he expected the war to take longer, 8 weeks, perhaps even more. And then he announced that he will not accept anybody as Iran's new leader. It would have to be approved by United States, which means that the war will take longer.
Right.
And now the OECD, not OECD, but the OPEC countries in the Gulf have said that, well, at the beginning of the war, they said they would increase production, but now they've reduced production because the storage facilities in these countries are now full.
Yes.
And even if they produce more, they cannot send it out. Because the storage is full, obviously they're going to cut production, and that has really hit the market very hard this morning. So as I said, now it's over $100 per barrel. They were estimating that if the Hormuz is blocked, it could rise as high as $120 per barrel. And then if Iran attacks its neighbors' production facilities, it could go up to 150.
Okay, let that sit in for our listeners. Okay, so we're at 100, and it's like a big question mark. It could go up in the foreseeable future. I want to turn our attention to South Korea, Professor, because obviously the country relying heavily on imported energy. And you went through some of the numbers, that go through the Strait of Hormuz in terms of the LNG and, of course, the crude oil turned into gasoline as well. How vulnerable is the Korean economy to such a sudden surge in oil prices?
Well, we're already seeing surge in gasoline prices and diesel fuel prices in Seoul. The news this morning saying that some gas stations are now charging 2,000 won per liter. And then the price will probably continue to go up. It hasn't been fully reflected yet. Then comes the problem with exchange rates. So if having trouble with weak Korean won had been depreciating. It seemed to have stopped before the war started.
Yes.
But it's still at a very weak level. That will probably get a lot weaker And the reason is that whenever Korea had a very weak, high oil prices, we saw reduction in trade surplus or even trade deficits, and that reduces the confidence in the Korean won, which of course reduces the value of the won. And then if the weaker won continues, we will probably see increases in imported fresh food prices.
Sure.
Followed by increases in processed imported foods. When the won weakened at the end of last year, we saw a lot of this. Some of the process was still continuing and will be hit again with this latest round of depreciation.
Yes.
And then we will because of the higher food prices and higher oil prices, gasoline prices, we will have higher inflation. And that means there's less likelihood for Bank of Korea to reduce interest rates. And we may probably have less consumption over the next few months as well, not only because of the higher prices, but less confidence in the future of the Korean economy.
Sure.
And then we've seen the oil and LNG take a hit. Right now, Korea does have a lot of reserves and alternate sources, so we may be over-worried, but if the electricity prices go up because of these higher fuel prices, or worse, if there's a shortage of fuel, then it'll hit the electricity, and that means it'll hit Korea's industries like semiconductor and steel, which can hurt Korea's exports as well.
Wow. So it's just a domino effect, it seems, Professor. And in terms of the oil prices, the price of crude oil, as you just mentioned this morning, up a notch once again around the $100 per barrel mark amid this conflict. And some analysts suggest that if it goes any higher, that South Korea's economic growth could fall by 0.45 percentage points. So first of all, how significant is the current price surge for Korea's economy? I know you mentioned some of it already. And also this whole issue of stagflation. If you could explain it to our listeners in layman's terms, because we need to get a better grasp of what this could mean for us.
Okay, well, stagflation means economic slowdown coupled with higher prices. Under normal circumstances, if you have higher prices, then you usually have a hot economy.
Yes.
If you have a slowdown or a recession, you get slowing inflation. So the Bank of Korea, as well as the government, can concentrate on one problem or the other. But in a stagflation, we have both problems at once.
Yes.
The last time we had significant stagflation was right after the pandemic during the attack on the Ukraine. Before we had, you have to go back to perhaps 1979 during the second oil shock.
Yes.
So, of course, basically we're worried that we may have a second oil shock. Korea does have a lot of reserves. We have about 208 days of reserves.
Yes.
If the war continues, we'll be safe for a few months. But if the war continues beyond then we will have some problems. So we will have to find some alternate sources of gas imports, oil imports before then. We may be able to buy some from United States, find some gas from Australia.
Yes.
But the problem is everybody will be doing it at the same time. So expect significant increases in prices if we do have to find alternate sources.
Yes, indeed. And for our wrap-up question for you today, Professor, you've already given us a ton of information, but as we wrap up, for ordinary people who are living in South Korea, in a nutshell, daily lives, how are we going to be impacted?
Okay, well, we're seeing the initial effect already with very high gasoline prices, which are also going up very quickly. you may not want to use your cars as much as you usually would.
Right.
Then the government is considering the possibility of price controls on gasoline. If the war lasts maybe a month or two, then the price controls may make sense because after the war, the prices are bound to come down unless Iran attacks production facilities outside Iran.
Yes.
But if the war lasts longer, I'm not sure if price control is a good idea because, well, if you keep the prices low, not only for gasoline but also electricity, people are going to use more. So that would mean higher import costs for for Korea. And if the war lasts at an extended period of time, we may also see some shortages, in which case we may want prices higher so people will use less. So the government will have to make a determination on how long they think the war will last and carry out appropriate policies. And of course, the people, if the war is expected to be extended for a long period of time and war goes outside the Iran and goes into production outside Iran, you will have to prepare for very high prices for gasoline, oil, as well as inflation.
Yes, indeed. Well, these are all things that we are very much concerned about. So thank you for addressing these issues. And of course, it's a very hot topic. Take care, Professor. We appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.
This is Professor Yang Jun-seok, and we talked about what exactly is happening in the Hormuz Strait with the effective shutdown. And of course, the economic risks that we may be feeling here in Korea already and in the near future. This was your special interview. I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for your traffic update. First up, there is an accident on Shinsan-lo from 49th Square to the Nambu Driving Test Center. It's right halfway in between those point A and point B, so please be aware of this. There are two more accidents to report on. First up on Gwanmun-daero from the port, an accident by Sujong Tunnel, that toll gate right there. Another accident on Busan-Ulsan Expressway going toward Busan halfway through the Haeundae Tunnel. And it is congested on the top portion of Gwangan Bridge. For the weather, it's 3 degrees. It's going to go up to 11. Rain or snow forecast for the central region, so be extra careful if you're driving. And big temperature differences between the low and the high. A heads up on that. That was your traffic and weather. And this is 하루에 한 번씩 by Connie.
어떤 하루 틈에 눈부신 날에 햇살 때문에 점점 하루 끝에 나의 얼굴엔 웃음만 가득해 가벼워진 발걸음과 흥얼거리는 입술 피는 꽃들을 보며 노래해 날 떠오른 멜로디마다 맘에 들어 It's so important 매 순간이 우리 얘기니까 하루에 한 번씩 점점 가벼워진 발걸음과 흥얼거리는 입술 비는 꽃들을 보면 노래해 떠오른 멜로디마다 맘에 들어 It's so important 매 순간이 우리에게니까 하루에 한 번씩 때론 그대로 팬을 행복할 순 없겠지만 하루에 한 번씩 불량한 마음을 담아 너에게 말해줄게 You're the only one 매일 너에게 말할게 난 널 사랑한다고 매일 너에게 말할게 난 널 사랑한다고 매일 너에게 말할게 난 널 사랑한다고 매일 너에게 말할게 하루 한 번씩 너를 위해 하루에 한 번씩 때론 그대로 맨날 행복할 순 없겠지만 하루에 한 번씩 불량한 마음을 담아 너에게 말해줄게 You're the only one
It is time for the head swing for 와글와글 tea time. Haley's back.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Yeah.
So not happy about the oil prices, but aside from that.
Again, we laugh because we can't cry.
Well, I know.
Yeah, to stop ourselves from sobbing.
I know, because the mascara would be like just flowing down. But let's jump into our first story. In this era of social media and short-form video platforms, the country's readership rate has come to an all-new low. And you know what? I'm guilty of this as well. So let's have it. Let's have it.
Well, okay. How many books did you read last year?
Okay, I'll be honest. My goal, it was not a lofty goal. It was not like 12.
Goal should be realistic.
Yeah, so my goal was 6. I'll be honest. I got to 4.
You are about 4 times better than an average South Korean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I was so ashamed in saying that number 4.
If you cracked open a book, you are above average.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I feel so much better.
Yes, feel good. Feel good about yourself. All right, someone's mad at me now, but let me get you the data out.
Okay.
Right. 6 out of 10 South Korean adults did not read a single book last year. You know what? It's, it is what it is. And this is, and we have one in the room with us.
누굴까요? The one laughing,
I think we just heard
over
her.
there.
Yes. So this is according to the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism report on the 2025 National Reading Survey. So last year, only 38.6% of adults said they've read or listened to at least one book. Right. So this survey is taken.
Wait, though.
Yeah.
Does listening really count? Listening
Oh,
counts?
let's fight about this. So I don't really listen to audiobooks because I'm so busy listening to myself usually and podcasts. But I definitely think audiobooks count.
Oh, okay.
And I've heard for some books, like the audiobook experience is a lot better.
Oh.
Right. I'll name some titles later.
Okay.
But yeah. So the survey is taken every other year. And we thought rock bottom was back in 2023 when it was like half the Korean adults. But no, now we are on to 6 out of 10.
Okay.
And that figure is the absolute lowest since record taking began all the way back in 1994.
Sure.
But for those who did read.
Yes.
An average adult read 2.4 books per year, and that is lower than 3.9 from 2023.
I
so
see.
again, if
Ooh,
you've
dropping.
read over 2 books, you are above average.
I'm between Haley and PDD. I'm okay.
And you are above average.
Right.
So how? The medium. Paper books were still in the majority at 1.3 books read on paper out of the 2.4.
Yes.
Followed by almost 1 ebooks and 0.2 audiobooks. So a very
Okay.
small sliver. An average person read 18 minutes during the weekdays and 26 minutes on weekends.
Oh, interesting. So I want to know the demographics, like the breakdown. Who was more likely to read?
And this is what was really interesting.
Okay.
Because if you imagine a reader, maybe middle age, retired,
Maybe.
like some gray with the reading specs. No.
Okay, let's like really stereotype here.
I
but
don't know.
okay.
I don't know. That was what was on my mind.
Okay.
But younger people.
Oh, younger people.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the reading rate for seniors, actually over 60, came to just 14.4%. But then people in their 20s, 75% said, I read a book.
Oh,
Or, Yeah, I
wow.
read. And they're actually more likely to read ebooks at about six paper books to 4 ebooks.
Sure.
But there was a big difference also based on income levels. That kind of made sense,
Yes.
right? Because for people who are wealthier, made over 5 million won per month, 56% said they read.
Okay.
But then if we got to the other end, under 2 million won per month, only 13% said they read.
Okay.
But then when we ask specific reasons, so what prevented you from reading? Well, of course, time. You know, honestly, yeah, if you're working 9 to 6, and that means you're out of the home from 7 to 7.
Yes,
then,
yes.
And then you have to go home, shower,
Right,
work
right.
out, and stuff. Like, what time do you have to read?
That's
so
true.
25% of people said, I just didn't have time. Other people got their information via contents and other forms of media. Other hobbies and leisure activities also prevented them from reading.
That's right. And, I try not to lie down as I'm reading on my bed because as our producer said, 책 읽으면 눕고 싶고, 누우면 자고 싶고. And then you get to the end of page 1, you don't know what you read and you're asleep. Right? 맞잖아요. So that's what I try to read sitting
I get it. No, because again, my goal of reading classics, I'm like, why are all these? And I'm so sorry. I don't mean to stereotype. Why are all the Russian names the same? And I have to write it down. And you're like, so are you the bad guy? No, you're the bad guy. Are you all bad guys?
Yes. Yeah. All right, let's move on. We've got to move on. Moving on. Intelligence authorities use a variety of sources to gather information, and we call it intel, right? Well, one source could be your fitness app, really?
Yeah. Is your running app giving away intel to the enemy? Yes. The answer is yes. So these smartwatches and fitness apps are, of course, very popular.
Yes.
But a security vulnerability for many countries.
Yes.
So one particular app has been under scrutiny, and this is news, Strava. And a lot of runners use this. The fitness app has over 100 million users worldwide.
Sure.
It provides what are called these heat maps. So it's basically GPS tracker, but also kind of gives you in color coordinated colors how fast you're going versus how slow, running or biking routes. And this is an open source. So users upload it to kind of race each other virtually to just sort of inspiration and motivation.
Sure.
But that is an open intelligence risk.
Okay, we need to
apparently.
know how, because I'm sure many people use this.
All right, because for many of us, so I'm running, say, if I'm running along Haeundae Beach or Gwanghwaneoli Beach, there are at any point about 100 other people running with me or around me.
Okay.
That's fine. Whatever. You can see that via CCTVs.
Sure.
But what if you're an American soldier running on, in, or around an undisclosed military base?
And
you probably are because you're a soldier. I'm assuming you guys run. But
and it's on?
you have the tracker on. And that is getting uploaded in real time to your Strava app.
Sure.
That's happened.
Okay.
It is happening as we speak. So if there are these consistent jogging routes logged in the middle of deserts, basically in the middle of nowhere, then
that's a dead giveaway.
Oh, that is a dead giveaway of there must be a military base there.
Right.
So in fact, back in several years ago, an Australian security analyst went through the app's open data, figured out locations of American and U.S. allies' secret sites across Syria, Afghanistan, and Somalia, and posted on social media.
Oh, goodness.
Again, Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, that's where you don't want those secret sites to be located.
Right. And the scary thing is that users are just basically offering up this idea.
Well,
data.
yeah, because we didn't. I don't know. And third countries or hostile forces can legally acquire this data through data brokers.
Okay.
So with this, countries that are at war are also at war against this sort of information. And Iran, for one, is said to be strictly limiting personal smartphones and other wearable devices on their military bases.
It makes sense. All right, up next, people are using AI to create photos of themselves, even for official purposes, and this is getting some pushback.
Right. So AI photos, they're a huge trend,
Right.
but some people are using AI to not edit, but make 증명사진. Your official photos for especially job application. All right, let's go through reasons. Number one, it's expensive to take official portraits.
It is.
If you're really doing it right, hair, makeup, you need a suit and everything, can go beyond 100,000 won.
Yes.
But if you're using a platform, even a paid platform, as cheap as 3,000won, 3,000 won to 20,000 won for really professional ones. And some applicants say, you know what, in this day and age, my ability to utilize AI is an asset in the job market. And also, photo studios airbrush your pictures anyway, so what's the difference?
But this also leads to controversy and even confusion over the photo and the real person. And I'll be honest, I have seen some applicants, like at job interviews, I look at the photo and then I look up.
Who are you? I'm sorry, where is
Are you okay?
applicant A, B, and C?
아니, 그래서 I was like, and I was really confused. Like, is this the same person? Or like, I thought I had mixed up the profiles.
Okay, full disclosure, that can happen with real pictures that have been
that's what I
airbrushed.
mean.
And I have a picture where, like a profile picture for the academy, and it was like, this isn't me. This is who you want me to be. And I didn't ask the photographer. I was
Okay.
like, who is she? She's real pretty. She's not me though. But some corporations actually have a notice on the job post now. No photos generated by AI.
Generated, okay.
There's a difference. AI airbrush versus created entirely by AI.
Sure.
Because it's on principle. It goes against the most basic principle of credibility or trust on a job application.
Sure.
If I can't believe who this is in a photo, how can we believe you? And also others say if applicants are having AI do the most basic what's supposed to be human tasks, then what does that say about you after you get the job? What other tasks are you going to outsource to AI?
You just want to look good. That's what it is. All right, we're going to end with this milestone story from the film industry. The King's Warden, which I saw, hit 10 million viewers. I
So
cried.
you are one of the
Yes.
10 and now 11 million. So historical drama The King's Warden, 왕사남, 왕과 사는 남자, reached a milestone 10 million 천만 관객 in ticket sales, a rarity in this ever tougher film industry.
Sure.
So distributor Showbox said that the tally surpassed 10 million as of 6:30 p.m. on Friday. That was a month into the release.
Yes.
So this is directed by director Jang Hang-jun, starring Yoo Hae-jin as Eung-do, who unknowingly becomes the warden of this ousted king,
Yes.
Danjong, played by Park Ji-hoon, and the bond that they build.
Right, so amazing. We haven't had like a huge hit like this in a while.
2 years, because
Oh.
last year, 0 천만 films. The last time that we had a 10 million movie was 2 years ago, 엑스마 파묘, and the
Yes.
Roundup, 범죄도시 4, back in 2024. So with this, President Lee Jae-myung congratulated the film, saying that it's even more meaningful as, again, the milestone was reached after 2 years, thanking, of course, the creator, but also the support of the people.
That's right. And this is a milestone for the director and the actors. And I have to say, in love with Yoo Hae-jin.
Right. I'm in love with Park Ji-hoon, and then also in awe of, what's his, Yoo Ji-tae.
Oh my gosh.
Right,
He gained
right.
weight for that role.
He did.
Yes.
Because, first of all, it is director Jang Hang-jun's first 10 million film. That's his 24th year in as a film director.
Okay.
Yoo Hae-jin, of course, has has multiple 10 million films under his belt, but it is the first one where he was the main character. Yoo Tae, who plays the villain 한명회, because he's been in titles like Old Boy, which because it was such a rated R film, not 10 million.
Right.
So that was his very first 10 million. And the breakout star Park Ji-hoon had his first commercial feature film 장편 영화 debut be this 10 million hit.
That's right, and I'm sure. By the way, for people who saw it, did you guys cry? I teared.
Oh, did you? You just teared?
I
sobbed. I was like,
teared.
I was like, I don't even know why. But many factors, because it's pulling at people's heartstrings. It's retelling of history from a more human perspective.
Right.
The lesser known what happened to the young king after the coup. Critics also say this has political ties to recent events, triggering the sense of justice or injustice, and makes you think about whether the ends justify the means. By the way, to that end, the last bit here, the distributor is holding a wailing or sobbing screening. 통곡. It's not just crying. 통곡 상영회, where viewers are going to be free to sob to their heart's desire.
Yeah, you got to bring some tissue with you. But thank you for going over all the Woggly news, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, I'll be back with news in depth in just a moment.
Good morning. Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for News in Depth. We have Jian back in the studio. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, we're going to dive into our first story. President Lee Jae-myung is convening an emergency economic meeting in response to the growing tensions in the Middle East. So what can he tell us?
So President Lee Jae-myung will chair an emergency economic inspection meeting today on March 9th to review the potential impact of the Middle East situation on the domestic economy.
Yes.
According to the presidential office, the meeting is intended to assess how growing geopolitical uncertainty could affect Korea's financial markets and overall economic stability.
That's right. So do we know who's attending the meeting and what they might be discussing?
So several key government agencies are expected to attend the meeting, and these include officials from the finance, industry, energy, agriculture, and budget authorities, as well as the Fair Trade Commission and the National Tax Service.
Yes.
The meeting reflects increasing concern that instability in the Middle East could create ripple effects in global markets, particularly in energy prices and financial conditions.
I see. And what are officials expected to focus on during the meeting?
Participants are expected to closely examine fluctuations in global oil prices and in international financial markets, both of which have been affected by the escalating tensions in the Middle East. Officials will also review how those developments could influence domestic economic indicators, including the stock market, exchange rates, and inflation trends.
So is there any particular issue they will be focusing on more closely than others?
Yes. So particular attention is likely to be placed on the cost of the petroleum products and how rising energy prices could affect consumer prices and overall inflation.
Right.
The goal of the meeting is to evaluate potential risks and discuss possible response measures if market volatility continues.
That's right. And has the government already begun discussing responses to the situation?
Yes. President Lee had already raised the issue earlier this week during a cabinet meeting. At that time, ministers were briefed on developments in the Middle East and began discussing possible policy responses to protect economic stability.
Yes.
This latest meeting suggests the administration is continuing to to monitor the situation closely and coordinate across ministries to prepare for potential economic impacts. Officials say they will continue monitoring global developments carefully to minimize any possible effects on the domestic economy.
I see, of course. We're going to keep a close eye on this because this affects all of us.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to our next story for now. There are reports that several U.S. military transport aircraft recently departed from a key American base here in Korea. I did mention it in the opening, and this is very much might be related to the Iran story. So what's happening here?
Recent aircraft activity at Osan Air Base in Pyeongtaek has drawn attention from military observers.
Right.
Over the past week, several large U.S. transport aircraft were seen arriving at and departing from the base, raising speculation that U.S. Forces Korea may be moving some of its assets.
Right.
According to the flight tracking website Flight Radar 24, C-5 and C-17 military transport aircraft landed at the base starting in late February and departed between Wednesday and Saturday of last week.
Yes.
Six of the C-17 aircraft were confirmed to have flown to Anchorage, Alaska.
Yes. So I have a question. Is there something we should pay particular attention to here? Or why are we talking? Why is this unusual?
So C-17 aircraft regularly stop at Osan to transport personnel and equipment. So their presence alone is not unusual. However, the arrival of the much larger C-5 aircraft drew particular attention because those planes rarely stop at the base. Because of their size and cargo capacity, analysts believe they could potentially be used to move major military equipment.
Yes, yes. And so why are analysts paying such close attention to the C-5 aircraft?
The C-5 Galaxy is one of the largest military transport aircraft operated by the United States. It is designed to carry extremely heavy cargo, including armored vehicles, missile defense systems, and other large-scale military equipment. At least 2 C-5 aircraft arrived at Osan Air Base in late February and later departed separately, one on February 28th and another one on March 2nd.
Right, and so I've been reading about the aircraft that they may have been heading towards, according to the flight data, for more than 14 hours, and that could indicate that they are headed either to the U.S. mainland or possibly to the Middle East. And the reason why I bring this up is because some reports mention these Patriot missile systems. So why are they part of the talk right now?
So the speculation is linked to the reports that some Patriot missile defense batteries stationed at other U.S. bases in Korea had recently been relocated to Osan Air Base.
Okay.
Because Patriot systems are large and heavy, they would typically require large transport aircraft such as the C-5 to move them. That has led some analysts to suggest that the aircraft movements may have been related to the relocation of those air defense systems.
Right. So as we wrap up this story, could these movements be connected to the situation in the Middle East?
So that possibility has been widely discussed. Tensions involving Iran have escalated in recent weeks. And in situations like this, the United States sometimes relocates air defense assets to reinforce positions in vulnerable regions.
Right.
If Patriot missile systems were indeed moved, analysts say they could potentially be intended for deployment in the Middle East.
And that's where we're actually going to wrap up for this story because we do have to get to our other stories.
Sure.
All right. So for our final story, we're going to talk about this story in terms of the Korea's ruling and opposition parties. They have apparently, moved forward with a bill. So we want to know about this bill.
Of course, the rival political parties in Korea have agreed to speed up the legislative review of the so-called Special Act on Investment in the United States.
Yes.
According to officials from the National Assembly, the ruling and opposition parties plan to complete their review of the bill by today, March 9th. And if that timeline holds, the legislation could be brought to a vote at a plenary session scheduled for this Thursday, March 12th.
Yes. So let's review. What prompted the ruling and opposition parties to agree on this bill?
The agreement was reached during a meeting between senior floor officials from the Democratic Party and the People Power Party. And lawmakers say the goal is to ensure that the bill moves forward without further delay.
Yes.
The legislation is seen as part of broader efforts to manage economic cooperation and trade relations between Korea and the United States.
Yes, and why is there such an urgency around this legislation right now?
The urgency is largely tied to tensions in trade relations with the United States. So earlier this year, U.S. President Donald Trump criticized the Korean National Assembly for delays in passing legislation related to U.S. investment.
Right.
Shortly afterward, the United States raised tariffs on Korean goods from 15% to 25%.
That's right. And so let's talk about the impact, the delays in passing the legislation. What could they have on Korea?
That decision sparked concerns in Korea that further delays in legislation could lead to additional economic pressure. Some lawmakers say the United States is closely watching how the issue is handled in Korea. Because of that, both political parties appear to have concluded that advancing the legislation quickly is in the country's economic interest.
That's right. And so in terms of the proposed law, what does it aim to accomplish?
The bill is intended to establish a legal framework to support investment cooperation between Korea and the United States. In recent years, Korean companies have significantly expanded their investment in the U.S., particularly in industries such as semiconductors, electric vehicle batteries, and advanced manufacturing. These investments have been encouraged by American policies aimed at strengthening domestic supply chains. Lawmakers say the proposed legislation would help facilitate these economic ties by providing clearer legal support for investment activity.
Right, and just like I mentioned in the news earlier, waivers, we're going to be keeping an eye on this issue and situation. And so moving on, are the two parties, the ruling and opposition, the major parties, cooperating on other legislation?
Yes, not entirely. While the two parties reached agreement on the U.S. investment bill, they remain divided over several other legislative issues. One ongoing disagreement involves special bills related to possible administrative mergers between some regional governments.
Yes.
For example, lawmakers are discussing plans to combine the administrations of Daegu and Gyeongbuk, as well as Chungnam and Daejeon.
Yes.
These proposals are part of broader efforts to reorganize local government systems in some regions. However, the two major parties have different views on how these bills should be handled.
Right. So just to go over the broad strokes, what are the major disagreements between the parties?
The Democratic Party says the three regional integration bills should be processed together for fairness, but the People Power Party argues that some of the proposed mergers are still controversial at the local level. They say it would not be appropriate to move forward without stronger agreement from local governments and residents. So while the two parties were able to cooperate on the U.S. investment bill, disagreements over regional integration plans in the National Assembly are still continuing.
That's right. So, of course, we're going to have to wait and see on a lot of these issues. But thank you so much for coming in today for news in depth. And, of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. So take care. Thank you, Jian.
Thank you.
All right. It is Monday morning. And I know sometimes Mondays it's really tough to get going. I kind of felt like that when I first came into the studio. But having, let everything out, relaying the news and stories to you, all the waivers and listeners out there, thank you for brightening up my Monday morning. I hope we did our job as well. And we're going to get to our final song for this morning. And this is 사랑하게 될 거야 by 한롤로. So have a good Monday. Bye, everybody.
영원을 꿈꾸던 널 떠나보내고 슬퍼하던 날까지도 떠나보낸 날 오늘은 나에게 남아있는 건 피하지 못해 자라난 묻어난 뿐이야